Quibi raised $1.75 billion and died in 6 months. Here's why. This wasn't a startup from a garage. These weren't inexperienced founders. Behind Quibi stood 2 of the most successful executives in America. Hollywood legends made the content. Disney, Warner, and Goldman Sachs put in the money. And still, 6 months after launch, it was all over. How does that happen? How do you burn almost $2 billion in half a year? The answer is one of the most instructive business stories of the last few years. Stick around. Let's start at the beginning. Quibi was founded in 2018. The name stands for Quick Bites. The idea, high-quality series and shows, but in episodes of 5 to 10 minutes, made for the smartphone, made for the go. The man behind it, Jeffrey Katzenberg, the person who brought Disney back to life in the 90s. The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty, and the Beast, all under his leadership. After that, he co-founded DreamWorks, Shrek, Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda. Katzenberg knew how to make hits. As CEO, he brought in Meg Whitman. She had grown eBay from 30 employees into a $1 billion company. Later, she ran Hewlett-Packard, one of the most respected executives in tech. Hollywood experience plus tech experience. On paper, the perfect team. The thesis sounded logical. People watch more and more video on their phones, but in those short moments in between, on the bus, in line, on a lunch break, there was only YouTube and TikTok. Content that's cheap to make and fast to produce. Quibi wanted to fill the gap. Hollywood quality for your pocket. Up to $100,000 per minute of content. For comparison, that's blockbuster level. The stars came. Steven Spielberg developed a horror series. Guillermo del Toro was on board. Liam Hemsworth, Anna Kendrick, Chrissy Teigen, Jennifer Lopez. The list read like the guest list for the Oscars. On top of that, a technical innovation called Turnstyle. Every scene was shot twice. Once for portrait, once for landscape. No matter how you held your phone, the picture adjusted perfectly. The investors were thrilled. Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, Alibaba, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. Before launch, $1.75 billion had been raised, without a single paying customer. Why did everyone think it would work? Because the logic was seductive. Netflix had proven that streaming works. TikTok had proven that short form works. Quibi was simply supposed to combine both. But this is exactly where the problem begins. Because Quibi never cleanly answered one crucial question: what problem are we actually solving? Let's look at the weaknesses one by one. First, the timing. Quibi launched on April 6, 2020, in the middle of the first COVID lockdown. The entire use case, short videos for the go, suddenly didn't exist anymore. Nobody was commuting. Nobody was standing in line. People were sitting at home, in front of big televisions. And Quibi? It only ran on the smartphone. No TV casting, no Chromecast, no AirPlay at launch. People sat in front of their TVs and couldn't watch Quibi there. That feature was added only weeks later. By then, the damage was already done. Second, the product itself. Quibi initially banned screenshots out of fear of piracy. Sounds reasonable, but it was fatal. Because how do series spread today? Through memes, through shared scenes on Twitter and Instagram. Quibi had cut itself off from the free marketing machine of the internet. There were no viral moments. There could be none. Third, the market. Quibi cost $4.99 a month with ads, $7.99 without. But the competition for short phone videos wasn't Netflix. It was TikTok and YouTube, and those were free. Quibi charged money for something the target audience already had for free, in abundance. On top of that came a deeper misunderstanding. Young people didn't want expensively produced mini-episodes from Hollywood studios. They wanted authentic creators, interaction, comments, sharing. Quibi was top-down television in a bottom-up world. Fourth, the marketing. Quibi spent millions on a Super Bowl ad, but the ad didn't explain what Quibi actually is. Many viewers still didn't know why they needed the app after watching. Awareness without understanding. The most expensive marketing in the world does nothing if the message is missing. And then there was the question of content. Despite all the stars, there wasn't a single hit. No series everyone was talking about. No Tiger King moment. No Squid Game. In a content business, that's deadly. People don't subscribe to platforms. They subscribe to shows. Now to the hard numbers, because those tell the real story. The launch on April 6, 2020 looked okay at first. Around 1.7 million downloads in the first week. Katzenberg sold that as a success. But downloads aren't users, and users aren't paying customers. Quibi offered a free trial of 90 days. That meant the moment of truth came in July, and it was brutal. According to analyst estimates, only around 8% of early users converted into paying subscribers. Of the first roughly 900,000 testers, about 72,000 remained. The internal goal for the first year, over 7 million subscribers. The reality, estimates say Quibi never got much past around 500,000 paying customers. Not even a tenth of the plan. Just weeks after the start, the app fell out of the top 50 in the download charts. Already in May, 1 month after launch, Katzenberg gave a remarkable interview. He said he attributed everything that had gone wrong to the coronavirus. Everything. That statement was heavily criticized because COVID massively helped other streaming services. Netflix and Disney Plus had record quarters. People had more time for video than ever. Only at Quibi did no one want to watch. Behind the scenes, things got frantic. Quibi tried to sell itself to Apple, Facebook, and others. No interest. There were talks about going public through a merger. That failed too. On top of that, ran a patent lawsuit from a company called Echo, which claimed Quibi had stolen the Turnstyle technology. By October 2020, it was clear there was no way out. On October 21st, Katzenberg and Whitman announced the end. In an open letter, they wrote that the idea was either not strong enough or the timing was wrong. Probably both. On December 1st, 2020, Quibi went offline. 6 months. That was all. At least, around $350 million were returned to investors. The rest, over $1 billion, was gone. The content was later sold to Roku for a fraction of its production cost. So what do we learn from this? I see 5 key lessons. Lesson 1. Money doesn't replace product market fit. Quibi had more capital than almost any startup in history, but money doesn't answer the question of whether anyone wants your product. It only lets you ignore the answer for longer. Quibi never tested small. No beta launch, no cheap experiment. Instead, everything on one card at full size. By the time the feedback came, $1.75 billion was already committed. Lesson 2. Experience in an old world guarantees nothing in a new one. Katzenberg and Whitman were brilliant in their worlds, but the rules of Hollywood and classic tech management don't automatically apply to mobile entertainment. The founders were over 60 and built a product for people under 30, without real understanding of how that audience consumes media. Expertise can blind you, precisely because you were always right before. Lesson 3. You compete with what your users actually do, not with what you think your category is. Quibi saw itself as a premium alternative to Netflix. Users saw an expensive alternative to TikTok. Competition is defined by the customer, not by the pitch deck. Lesson 4. Distribution and shareability aren't details. The screenshot ban, the missing TV casting, no way to share clips. Each of these decisions seemed small. Together, they choked off growth. A product that can't spread has to buy every single customer expensively. That doesn't scale. Lesson 5. How you respond to crises says everything. When the numbers collapsed, Quibi could have pivoted radically. Go free. Bet on creators. Rethink the product. Instead, the blame was placed on COVID and the model was defended. Whoever blames external factors for everything learns nothing, and whoever learns nothing can't correct course. Maybe that's the real story of Quibi. Not that smart people had a bad idea, but that a system of money, prestige, and self-confidence drowned out every warning sign. until it was too late. The remarkable part, short-form video is bigger today than ever. TikTok, Reels, Shorts, billions of people watch exactly what Quibi predicted. The vision wasn't wrong. The execution was. If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to the channel. Every week we break down a business story, successes and disasters, and pull out the lessons you actually need. Tell me in the comments, would Quibi have survived with better timing? Or was the concept dead from the start? I read every comment, and if you want to know how WeWork turned a $47 billion valuation into smoke, that video is right here. See you next time.